Good afternoon and welcome to the IUPUI School of Science Physics JagDay. We're excited to have you here to learn more about what it'll be like to study physics here at IUPUI. My name is Lori Hart and I'm the Associate Director of Undergraduate Enrollment for the School of Science. My contact information is on your screen and I want to encourage you to contact me with any questions you have going forward about the School of Science, from visiting to applying to accepting your offer of admission. The School of Science is one of two Purdue University degree-granting schools here at IUPUI. You will be studying in our 4 science buildings on our campus, including our brand new Innovation Hall, which boasts many new state-of-the-art science labs and classrooms. We have 9 science academic programs: biology, chemistry, computer science, earth science, forensics, math, neuroscience, physics, and psychology. And our students are involved in over 500 campus organizations and over 30 science clubs and interest groups, such as the Physics Club and Pre-Med Club. But you're encouraged to join any of our science organizations, no matter what your major. For example, if you enjoy hiking and caving, you might want to join the Earth Sciences Club. Want to help plan a murder mystery dinner? Then Forensics Club would be for you. In Computer Science Club, you can help design and program a gaming cabinet, or help care for plants in our greenhouse through Biology Club. There is truly something for everyone. And the School of Science is invested in your success, providing free tutoring from experienced tutors in select courses in biology, chemistry, computer science, math, physics, and psychology to supplement your course content. Now, we understand that you have many options of where you can study science, but I want to share with you the distinct advantages to studying science at IUPUI. First of all, we're a school of science, as opposed to a school of arts and sciences, which allows us to focus all of our time and resources on our passion, science. Furthermore, our pre-professional and career advising office, called Science Preps, focuses only on science and has created relationships with the employers that hire and the graduate and professional schools that admit science students. They will provide you with expert help in resume writing, internship and full-time employment searches, and professional school preparation and applications. Next, our location in downtown Indianapolis provides you with many advantages. Living and learning in downtown Indy is fun. We have the Indianapolis Zoo, museums, the Indiana Repertory Theater, the Indianapolis Colts, the mall, and many great restaurants, all within walking distance of our campus. Nearby, we have many companies that our students intern and job shadow at, such as Eli Lilly, Salesforce, and city, county, and state agencies. We also have 5 hospitals that are on or adjacent to our campus, as are the IU schools of medicine, dentistry, and law, providing you access to amazing volunteer, shadowing, and internship and research opportunities. Third, you'll be immersed in a close-knit science community. You'll find academically focused science students who enter IUPUI with GPAs and test scores above the IUPUI average. And that does continue once they're here. Every year, IUPUI acknowledges the top 100 students on campus, and this year over 50% of them were science students. You'll find your people here in study groups, student organizations, and in the many social opportunities available to you. This year, US News and World Report named IUPUI number 49 in the nation for our commitment to undergraduate teaching. Our faculty is committed to undergraduate education. In fact, the majority of your classes will be taught by full-time faculty, and you'll find our professors to be approachable and accessible with weekly office hours for students. And last, you'll find amazing opportunities within science to get involved in research as early as your freshman year and see the real-world contribution of your classroom knowledge. You can get involved by reaching out to your professors whose research interests you and ask them specifically how you can get involved. Many of the opportunities are paid or can be completed for college credit. Now at IUPUI, you have endless options available to you. You can choose the living situation that is best for you, on campus, a nearby apartment, or commuting from home. We just recently announced that classes will be back on campus in the fall. So if you are an admitted student who is interested in living in one of our 4 residence halls, I encourage you to apply to housing by our March 15th priority deadline to secure your spot. There are still spots available. Now, signing up for housing does not require you to live on campus, but it does give you the option to live on campus. So you'll make that final decision when your housing contract and placement is emailed to you. The housing contracts will begin to be sent out beginning April 1st to your IUPUI email account. They'll be sent on Thursdays through June in the order the applications were received. So if you have applied for housing, you'll want to check your IUPUI email account every Thursday to see if your contract has arrived. Because once it has arrived, you only have until the following Monday to either accept or reject that contract. And if you'd like to live with other science students who are taking the same classes as you, you can sign up to live on the STEM floor in North Hall. You'll find it listed under residence-based learning communities in your housing application. And if you've already applied, you can go in and update that preference and it will not affect your application date. To learn more about housing or apply, go to housing.iupui.edu. Now I invite you to visit us and take a student-led tour of the School of Science and see where you'll be studying. We are offering in-person tours every Thursday and Friday this spring. You can tour science alone, or you can pair it with an IUPUI campus tour. We have a JagDay like this for all 9 of our academic units, and you're free to sign up for any of them that you are interested in learning more about. We will also post recordings of all of our JagDays on our science visit page and our IUPUI Science YouTube channel. Now, information on science visits and JagDays can be found at science.iupui.edu/visit, or you can always email me at science@iupui.edu with any questions you have. And you'll also want to follow at IUPUI Science on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and learn more about our students and faculty, as well as the exciting opportunities available to you in science. Now, in a few minutes, we'll have physics students Grace and Brendan here to answer any questions you have. So stay tuned after our physics department presentation to hear from them. I want to remind you that you can ask any questions you have for me or our faculty or student panels by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We want to answer your questions, so please feel free to ask away. Now, I am pleased to introduce physics professor Dr. Horia Petrake and advisor Krista Swisher to speak to you more about the curriculum, resources, and research of the physics department at IUPUI. So welcome, Krista will start. I'll mute myself and I'll allow you to present, show your screen and present.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Lori. Before I go into like my, kind of semi-official spiel here, Lori mentioned the top 100 this year. Over 50% were science students. 2 of our top 100 students were physics majors, so yay for us. And one of those 2 physics students who was a top 100 student this year is Grace, that you will be hearing from later. So my first opportunity to congratulate Grace. I am so happy for her. I am so pumped. She has been a wonderful student and a wonderful advocate for the physics program, and she is graduating this year, moving on to better things, and I cannot wait to see what she ends up doing after she leaves IUPUI. So, okay, now I'll put on my advisor hat here. So, if you hadn't already figured out, I'm fairly informal. Hope you don't mind that. Again, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A button, as Lori mentioned. So in the IUPUI physics department, you actually have 6 majors to choose from, 6 different ways to kind of, study your way, learn about, physics at IUPUI. The vast majority do go pretty much with the standard Bachelor of Science in Physics major. And you will receive curriculum guides and plans of study as you get a little further along in the admissions process. So the BS in Physics is one path you can take. You can also do a brand new double major in physics and math. So you'll have 2 advisors if you do that. You'll have me, and then you'll have an advisor in the math department to work with you. A math minor is already embedded into the physics major. So at the same time you complete your physics degree, you're also going to be completing a math minor, because all of those math classes are required for physics. So how great is that? We also have a kind of a double major with physics and electrical engineering. If you're interested in electrical engineering, again, you'll have me for the physics side of your advising and somebody in engineering to guide you through the electrical engineering aspect to the major. Another major is fairly brand new. We've not had too many people try this yet. I'd love for somebody to jump into it. A Bachelor of Science in Physics with an embedded electrical engineering minor. So I mentioned a few minutes ago, you're already getting a math minor with your physics degree. With this plan, you are also earning an electrical engineering minor. And I worked very closely with the electrical engineering advisor for this program. And she said that this program will more than prepare you for any graduate work in engineering that you're interested in doing. So again, you can get a curriculum guide and plan of study information. You can email Lori, or it can be provided to you a little further along in the process. Yet another option, it's kind of a major where you're completing the last year of your undergraduate work with the first year of graduate work. And that is our Bachelor of Science in Physics with a master's in mechanical engineering. Now, you'll still have to apply to the graduate program in mechanical engineering like everybody else does. But again, I'll be your advisor on the physics side, and you'll have an advisor in mechanical engineering for that area and the graduate admissions process and those steps. Finally, again, feel free to come up with all sorts of questions. I and Dr. Petracchi will be happy to answer them for you. If you are thinking about medical school, and a lot of times, a lot of people think, well, if you go to medical school, you automatically have to be a biology or a chemistry major. No, you don't. You can be a physics major with a biophysics concentration. That major is perfectly set up for you to apply to medical school if that's one of your plans. The curriculum guide incorporates all of the undergraduate recommended classes for IU Medical School for students who are interested in going. It's in a curriculum guide and a plan of study laid out semester by semester, so you know what classes to take when. I try to make it as easy as I can for you. So again, lots of areas of interest, and probably even some, different ways to look at things that I don't even know about that you can learn from our wonderful physics professors, including Dr. Petracchi that you'll be hearing from in a little bit. The physics department, we are a very close-knit department. We care about each other. We care about what happens to our students, and we are very, very invested in your success. So, please talk me up about stuff, talk up professors. Professors love to talk about what they're researching. They love to talk about what they're working on. And if you find a professor that's working in an area that's of interest to you, that's a real good early opportunity to dive into that research that Lori talked about. Let's see, what else could I talk about? If you are currently taking dual credit courses, like at Ivy Tech or maybe through IU Bloomington or any place like that, please try to get those transcripts to us just as soon as you possibly can. As soon as you have final grades, try to get those transcripts to the admissions office, because that helps inform me what requirements you might already be bringing in. So you don't, say you're taking our equivalent of English at Ivy Tech. Well, you've knocked that requirement out of the way. You don't have to do it again. So if you're doing dual credit, try very hard to get those final transcripts to admissions as soon as possible. Dual credit would be more helpful for physics. It's fine for like English, a second written composition, speech, your social sciences, history, that kind of thing. That's great. We really prefer that you try to take as many of the physics and math classes for the program at IUPUI, especially if you're involved in graduate work or professional school down the road. They really want to see actual college lecture experience in a college lab as much as possible. So dual credit, like I said, for English, social sciences, your language, you can knock out a cultural understanding requirement if you've got a semester of a language, that's all good. But we really try to encourage our majors to take the physics and the math classes and the couple of chemistry classes that are provided at IUPUI. Like Lori said, you are welcome to email her. She could also give you my contact information if she would like, if there's things she doesn't feel quite as comfortable talking about, although Lori's great at her job. So that is really all I can think of right now as far as the advising role. So I am going to mute myself and turn off the video and bring in one of our great physics professors, Dr. Oria Petraki, to talk a little more about the program from the professor side of things.
Hello, my name is Horia Petraki. I am an associate professor in the Department of Physics. I teach classes at all levels, undergraduate, graduate classes, and I also do research. My area of research is classified as biological physics. We do not really study biological questions, though. We try to use biological systems to learn more about the world we live in, interactions in nature. And by doing so, we also hope to find applications for new technological devices. I'm going to share my screen and show the physics website, where we have a lot of information that I cannot cover in 10 minutes or so, but just to help you navigate the site and to highlight some of the things that I think you should look for as you decide what degree to pursue, what program to join. This is our main page in physics at IUPUI School of Science. Some of my colleagues wear green glasses like this. Most of us don't. So there is an introduction here about how in physics we claim that we explore the universe. By that we mean not just the cosmos and astronomical objects, but also things that happen at very small scales. These days, almost all developments that we hear about are part of a field called nanotechnology. Computers, other devices, medicine, it all relies on interactions at very small scales. So in our department, we do have such studies going on. And to learn more about that, you should follow this link on research. In all physics departments, various research groups are organized in some topics, but they are not very well defined. There are areas in between. For example, the atomic, molecular, and optical physics has a lot of overlap with biological physics. So I am in this area, as I mentioned. We study biological materials, for example, to see if we can find applications such as energy storage, ways to build devices that are safe, environmentally friendly, to minimize pollution, to save energy. In this part of field, physics, atomic, molecular, and optical physics, researchers and students involved in this research will learn a lot about lasers. We learn about quantum properties of light. It's also the area where people investigate quantum computers. In condensed matter physics, the area over here, condensed matter in physics means solid materials, semiconductors, for example, and the nanomaterials that I mentioned earlier for applications in electronics. Another area of research is physics education. There is a lot of effort now going on trying to understand and find ways to teach better, to communicate physics better to younger generations. Physics is, how should I say it, quite time consuming when it comes to learning the fundamentals. But once one has the fundamentals in place, things follow easier after that. So this is what is done in physics education. In this other area, studies of fundamental forces, this has to do with the fact that in physics, we try to determine what is the smallest number of interactions that can explain what we see in the universe. And you might know that these interactions are gravitational, electromagnetic, and then we also have some nuclear interactions called weak and strong. So fundamentally, and from a physics perspective, the number of fundamental forces or interactions is quite small. And yet, what we observe in nature is very complex, very diverse. So the study of fundamental forces has to do with understanding how this complexity can arise from a small number of types of interactions, and also at the same time to measure those fundamental interactions precisely to see if we are not missing yet some other fundamental forces or interactions that we do not know yet about. Theoretical physics, listed separately here, is of course part of all the other fields, but it's emphasizing that people working in this area do not have an experimental lab to run experiments. But I don't know of any theoretical physicist at this point working separately from an experimentalist. In physics, in the first place, there isn't a sharp distinction between experimental and theoretical physics because physics is an experimental science. So even research groups that are called theoretical will have some collaboration going on. This is just a summary of research areas in our department. And for students, the important part here is opportunities for students to join research groups. These days, yes, these days, not only that undergraduate students can get involved, I would say they must participate in research to be competitive these days, to get a job somewhere. To responding a previous question that I had, what can one do with a bachelor degree in physics? We can discuss more about that later, and the students will have more to say on that. But part of that question, or part of the answer to that question, is this hand-on experience. We encourage students as soon as they come in our program, and that means freshmen, first year, to join a research group. Here on my screen, you see a picture of an X-ray instrument. It's part of the biological physics program because you can see my student Azam preparing some samples to do the measurements with the X-ray machine. As an undergraduate student, joining a research group does not imply full commitment to that particular type of research. I'm saying this because talking to students in the past, I learned that quite a few students interested in research did not want to join a research group in the beginning because they were afraid they would not really like that kind of research. So they waited 1 or 2 years to first find out what they might like to do. My advice is don't do that. Join a research group. See if you like it. And if you don't like it, then you join another one. Here, we don't hold it against you if at some point you say, this looks interesting, but I would rather do the other type of research. That's all fine. Even at graduate level, we have the students try out a few things before they decide what they really like. And for undergraduate research, there is some mention here of the student to faculty ratio being small. That means you can interact with faculty directly and you can decide what kind of research you might like to do. There is a capstone project that physics majors have to do in the last year. But as I said, I always advise students not to wait for the senior year to do research, but start early. The undergraduate research, and we don't see a link here, but our school has a center for research and learning. And in that center, undergraduate students can join research programs formally and even get a stipend for it. We have programs called multidisciplinary undergraduate research. Students work in teams of 5 to 6 students, and that can be even more entertaining than working individually. This semester, I have 2 such MURI, they're called MURI, Multidisciplinary Undergraduate Research Institute. So I have 2 such groups of students this semester. Last summer, I had 2. So there are ways to get involved in research formally as part of a program like that, or on a volunteer basis, which assumes a commitment at a lower level for somebody who's not yet very sure what to do. So my point was to emphasize the research aspect. So when you go and read some more about our program, I'm sure you will take your time to check admission and academics. But at the same time, I say do not ignore this part, because this part about research is not only for graduate PhD students, it's also for you, for undergraduate students. And this is all I wanted to say, but I'm going to stay around and discuss some more.
Thank you, Dr. Petraki. We did have a few questions coming in. And first I wanted to let students know I did share in the Q&A a link for the Center for Research and Learning, which Dr. Petraki did talk about with and all the programs that they have available. I'm also going to share a link for a high school physics summer research program that we have. So if you're a junior or senior in high school and interested, we are accepting applications until April 1st. So, I encourage you to go in and apply to that. Some of the questions we kind of touched on, but we'll kind of go through them again, and they're similar. Like, if I don't want to go to grad school, what can I do with a bachelor's of physics? And then another student asked, that they are very interested in physics, but they're not quite sure what the career path would look like. So kind of similar questions. What do you see students who are graduating from our program with bachelor's degrees doing in the workforce?
I'll jump in here for just a little bit from the advisor point of view. I can help a little bit with that. I mean, what the workforce is looking for now, and what they've looked for quite a while, are good critical thinkers.
Mhm.
And physics students at IUPUI, they are excellent critical thinkers. They are really interested in knowing what contributes to an event happening or why something happened, and not just jump in willy-nilly or anything like that. Again, Lori briefly mentioned preps in her opening presentation. I would also encourage you to make contact with our preps office. The whole reason they exist is to help science students get that job that they want, go to grad school or go to professional school. They are there for you. Everything from helping you write a resume, brushing up on interview skills, establishing a LinkedIn profile. So make contact with preps just as soon as you can as well. And another thing I can talk about from an advisor point of view, as far as, what am I going to do after I graduate? every once in a while, I'll get a physics student, you know, I still have to take English. I still have to take speech. Are you kidding me? Why do I have to do this? Well, because it makes you, and you're probably sick of hearing this phrase, but I'm just say it anyway, it makes you a more well-rounded individual. One of the conversations I had with our department chair early when I started advising at IUPUI that I am never going to forget, and I always pass it on to other physics students and potential physics students, something you will eventually be doing a lot of is writing grant proposals. So you have to know how to write. You have to know how to write professionally, to be able to effectively communicate professionally, both in writing and in speech. So as long as you do those things well, you are going to be golden in just about any path you take. So there's the end of my spiel on that.
Yeah, and as she had mentioned, physics opens up a lot of doors for you because you're going to be good with those skills, your math skills. We've had graduates go on to places like Rolls-Royce with consulting firms, even with some military applications. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there for you. And I would be happy when I follow up with this webinar, I would be happy to provide a link that shows where some of our recent graduates have gone. Many do choose to go on to graduate school. We've actually, Dr. Gavin shared this with me once. We've never had a physics pre-med student not get into medical school. So they've got 100% acceptance rate there because they are so well prepared with those thinking skills. So, you'll be prepared really for any career that you do want to go into. So
I would like to add one thing about the job prospects of students who don't want to go to graduate school. So one thing students learn very well in our department is data analysis, and that is required in industry, is a skill that these days is very useful, dealing with large databases and being able to extract correlations out of a big data table. That's something we learn how to do in physics.
And Dr. Petraka, you did talk about this a little bit, but one student did ask, do you take freshmen to work in your lab, or do you only want upperclassmen? So how would they approach you if they are interested in your research and getting involved in your lab?
I take students whenever they are ready to come in. As I said earlier, I encourage first-year students to join. It's better early than later. In the senior year, students' schedule is very, very busy. It's very difficult to actually do good research in senior year. It's so much better to do it in the first year. And yes, the answer is yes, I do take freshmen.
Yeah. And another good point to getting involved early is it really can help you decide which way avenue you want your career to go into, because you're you're getting that experience, that hands-on experience, and it's much deeper than the classroom knowledge. You're actually putting it to work and seeing how it works in the real world.
Exactly, yes.
Now, one other quick thing I'll jump into, Dr. Petraki mentioned, students might hesitate to join a research group because it might be something they don't like and they want to maybe try something else. You're figuring out what you want to do with your life. You're making the first decisions in what you think you want to do with your life when you leave IUPUI, hopefully with your physics degree. So don't stick with something that you don't think you're going to enjoy or that you don't think you're going to be good at. And the only way you will figure that out is to explore your options. Talk up professors. Yes, just try as much as you feel like you can try.
And there is no penalty for it. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's only to gain from it.
Krista, here's a question for you. Ol's asked, are classes predetermined by major, or are there some elective spots?
Yes and yes. There are certain required classes that every physics student must take. It will vary a little bit according to, if you do the standard BS in physics, or if you throw in an engineering component, or if you throw in the biophysics component, or decide to do the new double major in physics and math. There will be slight variations, but yes, there are some classes that are required for all physics students, but there actually is room to explore other areas too. I had an appointment with one of my physics advisees this morning. He's minoring in Spanish. He's going to complete a Spanish minor before he graduates. He's doing he's doing the biophysics concentration. So he's looking at potentially going to med school. If he just takes one more biology class, he'll have a biology minor too. So there's absolutely room within the physics curriculum to work in other areas of interest for you. And it's actually, you know, again, going back to that phrase that we all overuse, being a more well-rounded person. I've had past physics majors double major in English or an English minor. So there's all sorts of things that you can pair up and do as also as at the same time you're studying physics. That is absolutely an option.
And thank you, Dr. Petracchi and Krista, for your help and your assistance in sharing information about physics with our students. We're going to move on to our student panel. So if Brendan and Grace, if you could show your screen now, and we'll share what it's like from a student perspective in the physics department. So please feel free to ask any questions you have in that Q&A button, and they would be happy to answer it. Let's start out with, Grace and Brendan, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your IUPUI experience, and your career and educational pursuits?
I'm Grace Mattingly. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm a senior now at IUPUI. I actually started out as just a physics major, 2017. And then a couple years ago, I guess the end of my sophomore year, I decided I wanted to take more math classes. So I added on an applied math major. So they already spoke a lot about like how flexible the curriculum is, and I experienced that too. I could add all of the electives I wanted in math, and it ended up getting me another major. What was the other thing you wanted generally, Lori?
Just a little bit, what are your plans after graduation?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to grad school for applied math. Still interested in physics type problems, but from a little different perspective, a little more mathematical. I don't know where I'm going yet, but we'll find out soon.
Right. And Brendan is actually one of our physics graduate students, so he gives a little bit of a different perspective. But Brendan, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Brendan Glover. I'm from rural Valley, Pennsylvania. So I was actually attracted to Indianapolis. And so right now I'm doing work with filtered lasers right now. So you add a feedback to a laser and you re-inject it back in, and you can, there's a lot of cool properties that'll happen with that, both predictable and very chaotic. So I'm studying those things. Once I graduate, I'm here for master's and PhD. I hope to either work in a lab or go to a postdoc to pursue academia.
And Grace, I mean, congratulations on being named to the top 100. And I guess I just heard today that you also got the Chancellor's Award for outstanding research. So that's exciting. Can you talk a little bit about the research that you've done? Because I remember I've heard that it's taken you to Austria, and it's been pretty fascinating overall.
Yeah, I feel like now that I'm sitting here as like a senior, I feel like I have so much past behind me. So kind of like Dr. Petrarchi was saying, my freshman year, I walked into Dr. Gavrin, who's the head of the department's office, and I asked him, what should I do to be successful in the physics department? And he said to get involved with research. So my freshman year, I started volunteering in a lab. I just basically did manual labor, learned about things, talked to people, just was in the environment of the physics world. And then my second year, I applied for one of the grants that Dr. Petrarchi talked about. I think the link is also in the chat. So this one's called UROP, so Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program. It's pretty easy, but you have to write a grant proposal, which is important to know how to do. You pick an advisor, you pick a project, and then you get to do research, and then you get paid for it. So I did that for 2 years for Dr. Deca in the fundamental physics group. I've done a few different projects through him. So if you want me, I can talk about those later. But as for switching between people, I actually switched into an applied math research group this past year. So there's definitely flexibility for you to choose what you're most passionate about, who you most want to work with. everyone's extremely nice. Let's see, places I've gone. Yeah, I guess Dr. Deca sent me to Austria to start one of the research projects that I did Europe with. So basically there was like a project he wanted to work on and someone to meet with. So that's just like one of the incredible opportunities that you can have is like through research, is getting to meet like lots of people and going to different places. There are other like ways to travel. There's like conferences you can go to. I've gone to this one for females in the physics department, or physics, it's called Conference for Undergraduate Women in Physics. IUPUI has been kind enough to send me there twice now, and it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it if you are a girl. I think anyone can actually go. I don't think you have to be a girl to go, but we usually send girls. So that's phenomenal. Let's see, what other traveling. I did a summer research internship. Shoot, what are those called? An REU, research experience for undergraduates. So I went to Cornell to do that. Got to experience particle accelerator physics. Well, it was actually photocathode research, but there were particle accelerators there, and that's what people like to hear about the most. I feel like the only reason I was able to do any of those things was because of the Department of Physics. They helped provide like opportunities. They helped provide like support, either financially or like the preps office helps me to write my resume. So that helps me to get my internship. I definitely went to them a lot when I was applying for those things. And then another thing that I don't think anyone mentioned is that you need letters of recommendation to do a lot of things in the world. So building relationships with faculty, with your advisor, it helps people to understand who you are, and then you can be represented through these recommendation letters. So just like when you start off young in the department as like a freshman, then you just have more time for these faculty to get to know you and be able to sell you and help you get into wherever you want to be.
And Brendan, maybe you can talk about this, being a graduate student. What kind of experiences did you have, as an undergraduate that led you to decide to continue your education in physics?
I was one of the students that did get involved in research my first year at my undergrad university. That was definitely one of the reasons that just got me very interested. I was doing simulation work with graphene, and I didn't realize how easy it was to get into it. And then also after that, I switched to research to do actually some stuff with the cosmic microwave background. So I realized like you do not have to stay in the research area that you're looking at. And then I was just encouraged by some of my professors to apply to different graduate programs. And I mean, I was pretty much hooked with the idea of research and doing physics and understanding things better. Really just having that experience of research and trying it right away will tell you if that's the thing for you.
Now, in the lab that you work in, Brendan, do you have undergraduates in there?
We did have an undergraduate, but he just actually went to his master's, I believe, the beginning of last year. But he actually got involved in our PT theory group as a high school student. And I was blown away about how ahead he was compared to what I was in my undergrad. And I've seen that as a trend that generally the physics undergrad majors are very well prepared here, both with research experience and even just from general knowledge in the classroom.
Right. And that being said, I mean, even if you come in and you're like, oh gosh, I'm nervous to start researching, how do I do it? I've never done it. They're going to teach you everything you need to know. They don't expect you to come in being a physics expert. They understand if you're a first year or second year student, and they're willing to work with you and teach you what you need to learn. So definitely, take advantage of that. That's one of the great things that our physics program offers. It's one of the smaller programs here within the School of Science too. So you'll find that, the professors, the students, they're all very close and they are working to help you succeed, and they want to do that. So any questions you have, reach out to them. Now, Grace, I also noticed that you are the physics club president. Can you tell us a little bit about the physics club, what they do and how to get involved?
So it's been a little bit slow this year because of the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we would have like socials. My goal is just to bring physics students together, help introduce undergraduates to graduate students, We invite the faculty to come hang out, play some board games, eat some pizza. It's really, in my opinion, just like a way to begin conversation. It's not really the end. The end should be like relationships and maybe research opportunities that you didn't think about. We did a couple unofficial things. Let's see, what did we do? We had a Jeopardy night. That was pretty fun. We went stargazing. That was during COVID, so it was like socially distanced stargazing. That might have been unofficial though, so don't quote me on that.
So if somebody wants to get involved, how would they find out that kind of information?
About the physics club,
Yes.
emailing me or getting on the spot. I think you can find out like where to find all of the clubs through this like website, probably somewhere on IUPUI's website as well. You can just search at Physics Club, and if you like ask to be a member, then you'll receive all the emails that I send. Or if you just want to email me directly, I can add you.
And we will have in the fall, we plan on having a science picnic. And at that science picnic, we will have a lot of our clubs will be there. So you'll get to go to that picnic. And obviously we're going to feed you. We're going to give you some free science swag. The professors will be there. And our clubs will be there so that you can sign up for more information. So they'll get your email and you'll be able to, they'll be able to contact you, let you know when their events are happening. And then you can, kind of decide what you have time for and what you'd like to do. But we do encourage you to get involved in the club of your major and any other clubs that you're interested in. You just to expand your knowledge, just to make some friends and, have some fun along the way. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit like Grace, why did you choose IUPUI?
I honestly just really liked the environment. The people all seemed incredibly nice. Like it seems like a place where everyone was very friendly and very open. It was easy to have conversations with people, and it felt like people wanted to help me succeed, like from the very beginning. That was true throughout all my 4 years here. So.
And we had a couple of questions come in that I wanted to talk about, and this answer I'm not sure of, but it's information that I can get. So and it is an anonymous question. So if this person wants to email me at science@iupui.edu, I would be happy to respond. I can look up that information, but I wanted to see if Grace and Brendan knew this. It says, what are some of the graduate schools, majors, undergrads go to after their bachelor's at IUPUI?
I'm thinking it's one of two things, either schools or what majors can you like go to in graduate school. I'm assuming it's probably the second one. So I did a physics and applied math undergrad, and I'm going to do an applied math graduate program. You can also do a physics graduate program. You could do engineering. You could do computer science. You could do philosophy. You could do anything you feel like, honestly. It prepares you for a lot of things. I don't really know if there's a finite list, but if you like want to find something, I guess if you have more specific questions, you can like clarify that.
Yeah, if you want to clarify, you can put it in the chat. Did either of you take, and this would be Grace, the honors mechanics seminar?
Yeah, that was really fun. I think I took that with Yogesh. It was like once a week on a Fridays. We like sat in a room and talked about like special relativity. I thought it was fun. It was just cool to like have conversations about like physics stuff and not really exactly be tested on it. It was kind of more to like, just have a conversation and get inspired. The advantage, I guess, was that it was a good way to like build a relationship with your peers as well as like grow in your love for physics.
Now, what is something that each of you wish you would have known as a freshman? Whether about your experience, about your major, I guess there's a lot of answers here.
I would say for me, it would be to take the opportunity to use things like prep and other resources to write your resume better and just focus more on being able to write, actually, which we were talking about earlier. Because it really does help you get into internships and get into grad school. Just every like step along the way, you'll need to write better. And I'm still working on that to this day.
I learned at my first conference for undergraduate women in physics about this thing called imposter syndrome. So basically what it is you think that everyone else knows what they're doing, and someday they're going to find out that you have no idea what you're doing, and then you're the imposter in the room. So I suffered from that really bad, mostly because I was a minority being a girl in physics. And it took me a few years to realize that no one knows what they're doing. So if I had understood that a little bit earlier on, I might have been a little bit more confident, and maybe I could have asked like better questions in class and just felt less intimidated by my peers. So my advice is, yeah, no one knows what they're doing. Everyone is confused.
That's a great answer, because I think that is so true. Students are, they're hesitant to get involved because they don't think they know what they're doing, but really we're all just figuring it out. So please, don't let that stop you. Here's another question that's a good one. As a student, what is the most important quality to have in order to be successful and be able to not only pass, but excel as a student like you did? I know, like for me, the first thing that comes to mind is time management. So that's, maybe something you can talk about.
I would say probably a good work ethic, because sometimes you get semesters where you just have a lot of classes or they're all hard and you just have to be able to buckle down and take it,
Dr.
I have
Petracchi.
something to add as a teacher.
Yes.
Based on how my students behaved, the students who let me know what their problems are, honestly, are the students who succeed, because then I can help them. Students who try to hide problems from me, by that I mean not knowing some of the material, not understanding some of the material, then that does not lead to success. Just be open with the teacher about the parts that you struggle, and then teachers like me will help with that. And that's how students succeed, but by not hiding the mistakes or the lack of knowledge.
Brenda, did you have anything to add?
I was just gonna add on like the time management and work ethic. Like finding a space in which you are most productive is really important. Some people do better at home. Some people do better whenever there's no noise or going to the library in the silent area. But yeah, not only finding the time, but maybe even a space for you where you know that you can focus.
And then we did get a little bit of clarification that a student who we had the last question was asking about some of the graduate school students go to after their bachelor's. I said, I don't actually know that information offhand, but it is accessible to me. So if you did want to send me a private email to science@iupui.edu, I'm happy to provide that information. I know we do have some students who continue their education on here at IUPUI because it is a wonderful program. I mean, obviously we've had students go to Purdue. We've had them go all over the country. So, really anywhere you're interested in going, you can do that. But if you want to continue here, there's opportunities here as well. But like I said, I'm happy to look that information up and provide that to you. Manuel, Christopher Martinez asked, what kind of advice would you have for non-traditional students who maybe would be coming in as a junior?
Yeah, one of my friends transferred from Ivy Tech as a junior a couple years ago, I guess last year. And I think what helped him out the most was just like jumping right in to the people and the community. Like I had a lot of classes with him, so I introduced him to the physics club, and then I think he eventually got into research. And I guess just like don't be afraid to introduce yourself to the faculty. Maybe they don't know you because they didn't have you in physics 101 or whatever, but like they still love to know you. So yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out and make friends.
I will also add, for a student coming in later, say junior level, there will be a question about the level of mathematics that is expected at that point to be successful in physics. So that is some aspect that needs to be evaluated by one of us, by the teachers.
All right, and we're running out of time, so I just wanted to end it just with any last advice you would have for incoming students on how to get involved and how to make the most of their time here at IUPUI.
Ask around, ask your professors, talk to everyone, I guess.
Honestly, just like enjoy it. Enjoy the time to like learn along with your peers. Don't be afraid to be excited about learning. Not all of your friends are going to like physics because most people think it's too hard or scary. So don't be afraid to just be a physics geek or not. And yeah, if you don't remember all of the amazing opportunities that people said during the session, then I'm sure they will be given to you at a later time, but you could also like ask. There's just so many incredible things that like I've gotten to do here, and I would want you guys to all have those same opportunities. yeah, so just like open your eyes, I guess, and like talk to people and ask for like more. Like feel free to ask for as much as you can from IUPUI because we have a lot to give you.
Dr. Petrarca, do you have any advice for incoming students?
I won't have anything else to add. Grace said it exactly as it should be.
Yeah. And I would, the advice I would give is don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, if you're struggling at all, let your professors know, as Dr. Petrarca mentioned, we've got resources available on campus for everything from, your classes. We have the free tutoring to mental health to, any exercise classes, anything you would need to help you succeed. We do have available here. So take advantage of that. Talk to your advisor, talk to your fellow students, and just get involved. All right. Well, I wanted to thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We do appreciate it. We did record this today, so once we get it up on our YouTube channel, I am going to email it out to you. So if you did want to watch it again or share it with family members or friends, please do that. And then if you have any questions, again, my name is Lori Hart, and I'm the Director of Recruitment, and you can email me at science@iupui.edu. Have a great afternoon, and we hope to see you here soon at IUPUI.